And the truck will be the right one for me. This may fall away, dead ending left and right. But there is this one road that journeys far out of sight. Have you wondered where your road will lead you? Maybe to a bright day of sunshine or a starry night in heaven. Or it might be you're afraid to go, but you've got to follow your road, or you never know. Never know. We are all the travelers living in a foreign land, just trying to find our way best as we can, looking for an answer, trying to find some. Though we have journeyed far, it's not quite far enough. And I need you, maybe to a song that we singing, or summer rain, or might be you're afraid to go, but you got to follow your road, or never know. Follow your road. 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 And maybe some people take far away. You got your road.
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Is anyone on this line?
Yeah, I'm on.
Who are you?
Glenn.
I'm sorry?
No, Glenn.
Oh, Glenn. Well, this is Cheryl. I don't know where Evadyne is at.
We might have to just wait a little bit longer.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. How are you today?
Hi.
Hi.
Glenn.
How are you, John? How's it going? So I have a question. This is Evadyne with Company Talk Worth Listening To. And I'd like to thank you all for coming on today. Can you hear me now?
It's staticky. It's going in and out.
I can hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can hear
okay.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I can hear you also. Yeah, thank you. So, Evadyne with Company, talk worth listening to. I was playing music in the beginning. Could you hear the music?
You can, but it's annoying. It's too loud.
Okay, all right. Actually, I had it turned down a bit. But that song is Follow the Road by Sea Wind, and it's a very beautiful song. I recommend that you pull it up. We are on the Grown Folk Talking Express Yourself, Progressive Podcast Network, and today's subject is spiritually you. Spiritually you. And the goal, well, is to help people understand the power within us. The power within us is stronger than just what we see in a mirror. Again, we're on Grown Folk Talk and Express Yourself. You can call in to 520-525-8633 and get the entire show lineup. We are 7 days a week, Eastern Standard Time, whenever you hear the shows. Today is Monday, and following today's show, we have a special tribute to one of our dedicated, influential, intelligent, but no longer with us listeners. Dr. Darren James transitioned on February 2nd, and we are going to host a commemoration, a memorial service for him, which should be really exciting. If you've never had the chance of experiencing his input, he was truly an asset to every show. And prior to his transitioning, he was in the hospital. So we had missed him for easily 6 weeks. And every show that he was a frequent participant on, we all asked, how is he doing? Anybody heard from him? Because you listened for him to come in with his comment. And I knew him for a year because I've been on this podcast network for a year, but I didn't know him as much as I thought I could know him. Going to his service and listening to others speak about him, including his friends of 56 years, it was amazing who he was as a kid. And it's so interesting. I believe Aquarians have photographic memories. I find them to be brilliant and intelligent and captivating. And one thing about Dr. James, whenever he would start speaking, he would be, he would be talking. And if somebody said something, he would keep talking so he could get his thoughts through, and then he would come right back and respond to what the person said. Like his ears heard it, his brain took it, he stayed on course, but then he would come back and respond to whatever it was that someone said. He was truly amazing, and will be missed, as many of our ancestors are missed when they go. I don't know if any of you knew Joe Madison. He was lastly on Sirius XM, nicknamed the Black Eagle, but he transitioned on February 1st. And in my opinion, a true army is needed right now to do the work that needs to be done bigger than us. So I said, Joe was building his army and took Darren. So it will be a force to be reckoned with, what our ancestors are going to do for us moving forward from 2024 onward, because the work is bigger than us. And I always say bigger than us. But I'm going to ask the question, when I say spiritually you and helping people to understand who they are, what does that mean to you? If anyone would like to respond. Okay.
I think we all need to understand that we all have innate gifts that just need to be tapped into and activated. There's nothing special about the spiritual world and the spiritual world in reference to humans, because it's how our Creator, whatever you call your Creator, has instilled in us. We just have to realize that we have these, I want to say gifts, but it's natural ability. So that's my answer.
I thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so I agree. And I don't know if you mean this when you say nothing special, but it's a part of who we are. It's a part of who we are, that spirituality. Is that how you meant that when you said nothing special?
No, well, when I say nothing special, it's just a natural ability that we have. So it's not it's not a special gift. It's what we were created with. Some of us just have not realized what we have. Like a lot of people go to mediums. If you really tapped into yourself and listened to yourself, like they say, women have women's intuition. But everybody has that tuition. You just have to know what your angels or the spiritual world, how they communicate with you. Some people get things in dreams. Some people see things. Some people hear things. And so, again, it's not anything special. You just have to know how to receive it and process.
Tell me one day, he says, you're not a psychic. You don't have psychic abilities. I know people, because he's from Africa, from Ghana. He says, I know people who could move things with their mind. And he just gave all the examples of other people's gifts. So I said to him, I don't title anything. I just do what I'm supposed to do. You know, people focus on, like Miss Cleve, like, I guess they think that us who were here and adults in the 90s who watched them build it up and then tear it down don't remember. But one of the things they tore her down, Miss Cleo, after they used her gift to promote, brand, and become wealthy beyond her. They tore.
But can I interject that for a second? Because Miss Cleo was, okay, so some people are in it for the hustle. If you pay me X amount of dollars, then I'll tell you what's going on in your voice, in your life. And just in talking to the person and how they're responding to you, you know what they want to hear. Nothing is new under the sun. So most people come to people because something's wrong with their relationship, or are they going to get a raise? You know, there are answers that you can give to people. It doesn't make it true, them speaking it, but if they put the idea in your head, then you'll work towards it. And that's all. It's just a manifestation. That's my opinion. It's not a fact, but that's my opinion.
What were you going to say about Cleo?
Miss Cleo, I think a lot of Miss Cleo was just like Dionne Warwick. It was a hustle. It was
Okay,
awesome.
so I did want you to close that part about her, because that's what I was speaking about.
Right.
Miss
But that's what I think. So Miss Cleo, Dionne Warwick, you know.
1 minute. Miss Cleo actually had the gift of seeing. So hear this.
But can I ask you something?
No.
How do you know that?
1 minute. 1 minute. Just as you said, we all have it. It's nothing special. You just have to know how to tap and realize into it. That's
Okay.
what you said. 1 minute. 1
But
minute.
my question to you is, how do you know she had it?
So, or maybe a few more seconds. Maybe I'm not asking for too much. So Miss Cleo actually had the gift, and the agenda makers decided to take that gift, spin it into a business. Now, I always tell people, there's nothing you cannot get paid to do in America, at least. There's nothing from planting a seed in someone's backyard to laying their roof because it has a hole. There is nothing you cannot get paid to do. So because you make a business out of your gift, there are people who are singers. There are people who are songwriters. There are people who are excellent drivers. Because about you, and you put a price on it, it doesn't make it a scam or a sham. It makes it what it is. But yes, you do have people who will say, okay, I'm going to drive you, I'll pick you up, and when you get in, they're in the passenger seat because the car is driving itself because of the type of car it is. Well, you're not driving me, you're just accompanying me in the vehicle. Yes, people can twist. I always say they can take your last name and make it bad, but it doesn't mean that everyone with the same last name is bad. And I'm not here. It is what it is. Like the gentleman yesterday that I met, as I was distributing an invitation, he says, I'm not from here, I'm from upstate. So if someone says they were not from New York, from the city, they're upstate, what would be your first idea of upstate? Anyone?
Upstate of where you live.
Upstate New York. So what would be a town you would first?
Binghamton.
Okay, so I said Poughkeepsie, and they looked at me like, yeah, how did you know? I said, I don't ask. I don't ask how I know, but that's where they were from, and it's the first thing I said. So tapping in, some people deliberately tap in. So yes, I could sit down with someone and say, okay, I'm going to schedule you to come to my office so we can come up with some ideas based on your idea. I could do that, but I don't do that. If I'm engaged in a conversation with you, I'm giving it like I'm receiving it, because as I say, I'm taking super duper credit for any of that, nor do I put a price on it. I am a receiver and a deliverer of information. That's just who I am and what I do. We all do things differently. So when I speak about spiritually you, it's about, as you said, tapping in and identifying. And sometimes it's about being quiet, being silent, because the quieter you are, the better you can hear what's coming to you, the better you can hear the direction you should be taking. That's how it is. When we, and okay, so I do drive a lot, and I always say, sometimes say, I let my car do the driving, because I'm just moving. I'm just going here, going there. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I have a direction, but the direction has many avenues. And so as long as I get there, but I can turn a corner, and when I turn that corner, see something that's appropriate to something I needed to see. something I was thinking or doing. And so, no, I don't have an electric car. It's not driving itself that way, but I'm just a free spirit. I just get in and go. I just do. But that's the same way I do most everything that I personally do. I just set it in motion and go. That encounter the other day with the gentleman from Poughkeepsie and me saying that, it was like they wondered, how did you know that? I could see it in their eyes, But before anyone even attempts to ask me, because it happens most of the time, I just say, don't ask me. I just, don't ask, I just do. Don't ask, let's just do it. Let's just go or take it. Now, people don't have to ever do or agree with what I say, but I'm not saying it because I have a little manual and I turn the page, like an old phone. Remember the old phone books where they had the tabs, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G? I'm not going through that type of book. What I use as a resource is bigger than me. And it's actually, let me change that. I'm glad this is recorded. So I don't use it as a resource. The source is using me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So we're talking about spiritually you. I just want to play something. If anyone else has anything to, not anyone, but if anyone has something to say, I want to play an excerpt from a previously recorded show that I spoke about spiritually you. And again, this is not about spirituality. It's not about rubbing candles and putting twigs together, even though I heard something very interesting today. But we won't talk about that right now. So before I share this, would anyone like to speak? Okay, I'll be right back with you. Just listen in.
The goal of this talk is to help people realize their spirituality, the power in their spirituality, and being in succinct with that spirituality as they move through their lives. And when I say people, because this is grown folk talking, we're talking to grown folk. But I am hoping that the information shared will also be expressed verbally and or through action to the younger people in our lives, however we are associated with them. Very interesting today, I attended a meeting with the guest speaker, Jean-Paul Gonzalez. He is one of the most influential people that move the New York Jets to their greater successes over the years. As a ninth grade history teacher, he opted to continue teaching once he was sought out by the football team to be their motivator. He continued teaching because of the impact he would have on young people's lives. In Union City, New Jersey, he actually started a nonprofit with a now over 3,000 in attendance of youth, helping young people with an alternative to gangs and or feeling alone. He's given them a place. And now, as it has grown from just 5 students the first week they opened to over 3,000 young people, it is his graduates that are now the coaches and the guides and the mentors and the tutors. Following your spirit, following the direction that's given to us past what you can see, but most importantly, what you feel. what you feel. It was an honor meeting him today, and a greater honor listening to him speak, because he was solidifying a lot of the things that I say and do for the greater good of humanity. You can visit my website, networkingforsuccess.info, and you can see the many things that I do and how I do them. You can keep in touch with our podcast. You can listen to previous. You can visit my YouTube under Evadyne Smith. You can see me. And if you look at him and pull up some of his video footage, some of his speeches, understand who he is, you will see then why I am saying what I am saying now. It was an honor hearing him and listening to his story, because it resonated with the life that I live. Why do I explain that? Because spiritually you is something that I wanted to start in the mid-90s. But I'm a patient person. I'm patient. But I continue doing what I'm supposed to do. And in the mid-90s, when I came up with the idea, it again was to bring forth people's understanding of the power in the spirit of a person. And as Michael Jackson says, the man in the mirror, we can start with ourselves. We are powerful beings. And people confuse spiritualism as a practice with spirituality and the power of your spirit. Know that as man speaks and brands for their purpose, they could turn a chocolate chip cookie into a miniature cake if they wanted to rebrand a chocolate chip cookie from being initially a chocolate chip cake that dehydrated. Words and terms and direction and advertisement can change everything around. So I don't want people to be confused between spiritualism and the practice of it and what society brands it as, and spirituality, and understand the power of your being, the power of your purpose, the reason you are here. I thought about explaining spirituality like this. This is regarding a relationship, a romantic relationship. Can you tell the difference looking at a couple who love each other and a couple that's in love with each other? Can you see the difference in that? Love is genuine. Love is respect. Love is character. Love is adoration. Love is an appreciation to a higher level. Love is a feeling. Love is a practice. You love someone, and they love you, and you wish all the best for them. That's perfect. In love is a whirlwind. It's the October breeze. It's feeling like you're an eagle flying with someone, hand to hand, toe to toe, touch to touch. The energy between the two people, others can actually feel and see. The sparkle in someone's eye while they're looking at not only that person, but the sparkle in their eyes as they're engaging outside of the relationship. You know that there's something else going on inside of that person, inside of their life. Something excites them. Work is over at 5, they're at the clock at 5. Why? The date is waiting downstairs. The person they are in love with. It is a motion to the emotion. It is activity, being in love. And that's what spirituality is. That is what knowing your power, knowing your passion. I heard today, literally, that passion equals struggle. It is the thing that you will struggle to accomplish because of your love for it and your desire for it. And you can be passionate about the person you love as well, but that in love thing, again, it's a movement of emotions. It's incredible. It's 90 degrees outside, 60 degrees inside. It's nature. It's nature at its best. We're going to consider once a month, the last Thursday of the month. I want you, if it is okay, to look at your spirit. Look at the things that move you to do your best. Almost like your reasons why. Do some research. Do some research. And when we come back together, let's talk about those things. Let's talk about what you found in yourself. You can make it a project with your children. You can make it a project with your friends. Knowing who you are spiritually. Not religion. It's a difference. Spiritually. Without any effort, it's what you feel. What is, I'm going to believe, most people come to when they are in meditation. They're connecting to their spirituality. When they are at silent retreats, they're connecting spiritually to who they are. It's that regroup, that let me find me. Because the one thing we don't do a lot of is pause, P-A-U-S-E. We do not pause to assess who we are, what we're doing. Are we doing what we were meant to do? Are we still on track? When you pause and reassess and take off to getting that thing done, it's like being in love. It's full action. It's movement. You're on your way. You're going. It's so important in having a fulfilled life to know what your life is supposed to be. To know what your life is supposed to be. And we sometimes get sidetracked by others. We get sidetracked by others. Others who feel like they know better than us. Others who feel like they see something in us, and at times it is themselves that they're seeing. It is their desires and their dreams and their hopes that they failed to accomplish, and now they want to live it through you. So when we pause, it gives us an opportunity to assess, reassess, reevaluate, do some planning again, and take off. Take off in that direction that you want to be in.
So thank you for listening to that. And I hope you all are still awake. What do you think of what you heard, or based on what you heard, what comments do you have?
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned basically two types of love. And from what I know of love, one is like filial love, the other is agape love. And I was going to ask you, which love would you say is a more practical or lasting love?
Agape love is love for all, based on all things, and in general, and from a humanity and humane and human level. Now, some might say it's from a godly level. So you automatically, you just love all things. Even though there are some twitch and some twatch and some glitches, you love, in general, you love all things. Agape love for me wouldn't be a love that I would direct to a specific person. To me, it's more general. And what was the other love you mentioned? Okay, go ahead.
Filial love.
What is that?
Like, I love pizza. I love this article of clothing. Why? It's a love that can come or go. But agape love doesn't come and go. It's something that stays. It's something that you do deliberately. It's a characteristic of God that you can, if you have spirit, to operate. You know, I'm so in love with her, but then I catch her cheating. So now that love is shaken to the point where, you know, I'm not sure how I feel about her now.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So my opinion of agape love is like Evadyne said, is, and the same thing that you said. I love that pizza. I love the article of clothing, but that is not necessarily forever. You know, you can love these pants because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's filial love.
Okay. So are we talking about three types of, because one is love. The other is in love. And in love is an emotional state of mind.
Exactly.
Now, you can still love Sally. Let's use her as an example. You can love Sally, meaning you love her characteristics, just different articles of Sally. And then the romantic side comes out when you become in love with Sally. Now, you can be with well, it doesn't have to be a spouse, you know, just somebody else in your life. Not necessarily your spouse, but a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever. But that boyfriend or girlfriend could do something where you can love that person, but you can't stand its ways anymore because they've changed the atmosphere. So to me, those are two separate things. You can still love a person, but not necessarily like a person anymore because of what they did. And your example was she cheated on you. Yeah, if she cheated on you, you can still love her. Most people still love people from a distance, but they can't stand them for what they did. And that's why I'm not saying for everybody. I can only say for me. When it comes to that, I'm not a forgiving person because in my relationship, and I always say to my husband, if we ever decided to get a divorce, you would never be able to tell the judge, I didn't know. Because whatever bothers me comes out of my mouth. If there's things that I want to know, I ask you. Now, when I find out, and I believe you, because why would you lie to me? You're grown. Down the line, I find out X, Y, and Z was a lie. Well, now I'm in this relationship all this time based on your answer that you lied about in the beginning. I can never forgive you for that.
Okay,
I can never forgive you for that.
Okay, well, here's two definitions of love. One is phileo love, which is an emotion, a feeling, and the other is agape love.
So that's
which
in
is,
love. You're using a different word for it, but that's in love. Because in love is an emotion.
No. So there's a difference between agape love and being in love. There's a difference. And loving.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
Agape love is the love of God in the renewed mind and manifestation. In other words, you're loving the way God loves. And it's available to do that when you have Holy Spirit, because it's the Holy Spirit that's being at work in you to do what God wants you to do. You said that you have a hard time forgiving. Well,
can I ask you a question?
God says forgive.
Okay, but can I? Because I have to ask these questions as
Cheryl. No. Let him.
All right.
Go ahead.
God says forgive. And we're to forgive so that we don't walk around with the weight on our back. We're to forgive because God tells us to do so. And God says that he won't forgive you unless you forgive.
Mm.
So it's important to do what God says, and that would be that agape love. Agape love, according to God, is going to go into eternity, where phileo love is going to get left behind. It's not going to really have a solid ground. It's going to be circumstance conditioned, world conditioned. It's going to be conditioned by what you feel, what you think. And, well, according to God, it's like it's not about what you think. It's not what you feel. It's what I say as God. So when you practice what God says, then you have that sure foundation. And that's the agape love. But the phileo love, it can come and go.
Okay. So I think we're getting off track because, first of all, we were talking about love and in love and spirituality. Is that true, Missy?
Actually, we're talking about spiritually you, understanding yourself spiritually, but and if it moves
and then
into
you jumped
loving,
over to being loved and in love. There's a difference.
Hold
on.
And
then hold on.
That is correct.
Okay, that is correct, right? Okay. I don't know what your name is, sir, but I'm addressing you now. So, and this now is turning into a religious conversation because
it hasn't.
But well, yeah, because you said that God wants you to love or forgive in a certain way, the way that He forgives. But let me just ask you a question. You do know, since we're talking about God, that there are certain books in the Bible that are in the Bible based on who was in charge at the time. There are some books that never made the Bible. Now, and the thing that bothers me about the Bible is, and that's why I'm not religious, I'm more spiritual. I'm not for sure that God said any of these things. And the other thing is, in general, we're having all of these wars all over the world, wars that we don't even hear about, and it's all in the name of God. But it amazes me that God is a God of love. It also said that there's nothing that we can do that we can supine ourselves to Him to be forgiven, because Jesus already did that. So technically, it doesn't make a difference what I do. I've already been forgiven. The other thing is, if God created us, oh gosh, I don't know, okay, I don't know why, but if God created us, and because this is what it says in the Bible, that man was made from, woman was made from man, from his rib, but it's always the man is the hierarchy and the woman is the, under him and support him and all of that. But, and I'm only gonna reference men, because I don't know what relationships are with women and men and men. So I'm just gonna do men and women. But y'all do the most amazing stuff, and then want to be forgiven for it. Do I think that women do things too? They do, but men are extra special, and it takes, like, if you could have one or two questions that you could ask God, whoever this God is, and you could ask Him, how could you have made woman for man's mate, and he's so fucked up?
Okay, so hold on a second, please. So we'll scratch that last word, and now I'm going to suggest, based on what you said, if
Can
you
I
say
something to you, Missy?
1 second.
I meant to say fucked up. You don't have to scratch it.
Excuse me. I didn't say you weren't old enough, but this is recorded and it goes up on my YouTube, so I didn't say you didn't mean to say it.
But that's what I really
But
want to say.
Hold on. So based on what you said, if you could ask God 2 questions, to that, I'm going to refer people to listen to Conversations with God. It is a very good production. It's on YouTube. There is a movie that I can't speak. One minute. It is a movie that I can't speak about. I've listened to the 8-hour book being read by the author. I think it's very good. So I'm going to ask everyone to watch their language so I don't have to edit, because I really don't like editing. Okay,
but that's not something that you said at the beginning, and that's how I felt. That's what I wanted to say. So scratch that out, but whatever words you want to put in there to replace that, that's what I meant.
No, I'm not going to replace the word, and we did get your point. But what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to move forward with the subject matter. Glenn, I heard you. We understand there's 2 different types of love based on what you said. I say that being in love is a more emotional, active. It's like a thunderstorm versus a mist. They're both water. They're both being shared and received and enjoyed. But for me, being in love is more like a thunderstorm, a tornado, a whirlwind. And I feel that you can see that in relationships with people, that you can see the in love, emotional, and then you can see the love, the adoration. Agape love maybe, but like I say, for me,
can I ask
1 minute. What I say with agape love is that it's a general, it's deep, and again on a human level, and I'll say on the level of godly or our creator overall, to love the entire universe of everything. But to be more defined and more direct in loving something specifically, that's a little different. Yes, you may ask a question.
So my question is this a conversation with everybody on this pod, or is this a conversation based on what you feel? Because a lot of it sounds like, well, this is what I feel about X, Y, and Z, and I feel this way about, and I think this should be. So is this a conversation in general, or is this your conversation and how you feel about things?
So if you noticed, I say and speak and I open the floor. But in order to control the conversation and to allow the conversation to continue going according to the subject matter, which it was kind of getting off when it came to the forgiveness and the relationship and that was not this. There is a conversation for relationships.
But it was
and you can visit my YouTube. It's at Like SSR. One second, please. 1 second. Like SSS. Like SSR.com. Like SSR.com. You can go to my YouTube and you can listen to a really great video on how to have a happy relationship and how to have a happy divorce. But this talk today is titled Spiritually You. So it's helping people to understand their spirituality. It doesn't have to do with relationships and cheating and forgiveness. And it's not about me being the only one speaking. But again, it can take a half a second for the conversation to go in another direction, for which we can pick up after the talk, when the talk is over. And yes, you were responding to what Glenn said, that's his name, to what Glenn said, but again, that was a little different, and it's because I mentioned love and being in love. So because I mentioned love and being in love and relationship as an example of the two different types of love that I was speaking about, that's when Glenn mentioned love and then someone cheating, and then how you feel, and then you followed up. So, it could be a follow-up and a follow-through, but we need to bring it back to the circle. And the circle of the conversation today is spiritually you. So when, again, I'll ask the question for anyone else who has joined us, and if there's noise in your background, you could star 6. But I'll ask the question again. The subject is spiritually you, and what does that mean to you? And it's pretty open in the conversation.
Okay. Well, spiritually me. Is that talking about my characteristics? Because I'm a little bit thrown off a little bit because you're talking about love, emotional love, and different things, and saying spiritually you. So I'm just gonna go.
So
go ahead.
Let me define it. So spiritually you. The goal is to help people understand their spirit, to understand the power within us, to understand that what we see, flesh and features, is just a physical, but internally we're bigger than that. We're better than that. And we're connected in a certain type of way. It's what gives us our ideas. It's that I didn't know anything about this, and today I have an idea to do this. Where did that come from? How are you tuning in? Or are you tuning in? Or are you not tuning in?
Gotcha. All right. So I was talking to somebody a little earlier in the past couple of days, and to me, this is my opinion, and I know that's what we get to share, our opinions. Everybody get to share. Thank you, Evadyne. We are a triune being, meaning we're physical, and we have a soul. We have a spiritual body. You know what I'm saying? We have our intellect, and we have our spiritual being. I feel like it's three parts of us, and when we pass, our soul leaves, our intellect, our spirit man, and we just leave this physical body. So I feel like when we have God within us, our spiritual part of us connects with our higher being, our creator. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of things are transmitted that way. But we do have our own conscience and our own, what we call nature. Or some people want to say sin nature. So that means we have our own will. And so we can desire and want to do other things and think other things and create other things in our mind as well. But I believe that those things that we have that are, creativity, I think is something that God gives us. It says gifts are given without repentance. So we're able to tap into that, and that allows us to be able to do some of the things we never thought we would do. We wake up, we're motivated, we have that thought just put in our mind, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of directs us because it kind of gives us that new thing, and it gives us that new inspiration, and it heads us in a whole new direction. And what you said about agape love, I agree. Agape love to me is always what I was taught. It's like it's a God love, which is a love that's unconditional, that loves you irregardless of anything, and your faults, and your right and your wrong, no matter what. It's always with you. And I know that to be, to me, the type of love that God has for us, where we can really mess up, but he still loves us anyway, you know? So, I mean, that's my take. And I believe that there's different types of love, like you said.
Thanks.
And so, go ahead. Go ahead, Evadyne.
Can I say something?
No, I thank you for that. Please tell us. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Deborah, please announce your shows. Deborah is also a host on our Grown Folk Talking podcast network. And so, Deborah, announce your shows and your businesses.
Yes, thank you, Evadyne. I have Positive Impact, which is a gospel segment where you can come on and make a gospel selection. We play your song, give you an opportunity to encourage or share with others on that day. So we're just there for each other, trying to help each other through whatever we may be going through, and giving our report, our praise report as to, you know, the things that we went through and how God has blessed. And also we have Let's Talk About It with Deborah Saturday at 2 p.m., where we talk about a variety of different topics. And this particular Saturday coming up, we will have one of the blind divas by the name of Goddess coming on. And what she does is she assists me with my organization, with our Organization of Unity and Empowerment, which was designed for us to be able to assist our veterans, our community, and our youth. Our veterans are mentoring our youth. They are educating and tutoring. We have people to educate and tutor our youth. We also are creating housing for those that may need it, veterans and youth. And we have a host of other things that's also going on. I also have Love Ministries, which is my own organization, church. And we're just dealing with trying to help broken people to heal. So we also have the podcast Real Americans, where we are able to talk about a lot of things, and we're combining those things together. So we've been talking about history. We're talking about how to move forward with this election. So all of our shows are kind of combined. We give us some of the same information, and we're always trying to hear what our participants are saying, as well as give our opinions on whatever. And we do invite you all to come and be a part of each and every show that's listed on here. Thank you, Evadyne.
You're welcome. And Glenn, you had a comment.
Well, the woman that was talking before, the one that just finished talking, she had said something about we all had a will.
Glenn?
Can you hear me?
Yes. He's talking. We can hear him, Evadyne. You can't hear him?
Yes,
Evadyne.
I can. I didn't say anything. Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't want to take it back to the spiritual because I guess that's a bad subject. But, well, it is. Because some people believe in God and some people don't. Some people trust the Bible and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, the Bible is the word and will of God in a lot of people's minds and hearts. And the word of God is the will of God. So if you want to know how to love and how to do, you have to go to the Bible. And when you do it like how the Bible says, then you have a sure foundation. It's like the three pigs, how they build their house with straw and however that
brick.
Mm-hmm. So, people question God, and there are answers. And I don't know everything, but I do have some of the answers. One of the things that God says, where He so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth unto Him will not perish but have everlasting life. And Jesus said, why callest thou me Lord, Lord, and not say what I do? Not do what I say. So if He's Lord in your life, then you're going to do as He instructs you to do. And whatever He instructs you to do is going to work. Like myself, when I was strong in the Lord, I saw great things happen in my life. And then when I got weak in the Lord, I fell short and had all kinds of problems in my life. So now I'm struggling to get back to where I was so that I can prove God's word again in my life. And in some areas of my life, I'm doing that. And then in other areas, it's still a struggle. But I know that I have to apply the word of God in order for me to see the success that God says I would see if I do what He says I should do. And that's why God says that His love never fails. And God is not a man that He should lie. His love will never fail. And every time I love with His love, it never fails.
So, Glenn?
Never. Yeah.
Okay. I believe. Oops, hold on. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now you're echoing.
When you ask, could I hear you?
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Okay, thank you. So it really goes back. Thank you. It really goes back to what you were saying about being connected and following through to your greater guide. Whatever people believe in, that's what they believe in, and how they live their lives is according to what they believe in. So there's no judgment. But I want to continue again with an excerpt, and just hold on one second.
Is knowing who you are spiritually, your purpose, your passion, your greatness, and you are possibly responsible for those same things or guiding in those same areas other people, whether it's children or family, or if you're a team leader at work. If you don't know the greater good of you, how well will your job be done? How well will your job be done? Which brings me to this phrase that I see when people have passed on. I've seen plaques stating, "May the work I've done speak for me."
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that phrase. I love it. May the work I've done speak for me. And why do I love it? Because I'm able to read it, number one. I'm on this, so I can see it. But it helps to think about, wow, what am I doing? Am I doing what I am here to do? Because technically, that phrase, though we are reading it because we're still on this side of the mountain, that phrase is actually saying for that person to have passed, they're hoping that there's a smile on the other side of the mountain, that they've received a passing grade to move on to the next phase, whatever that is, whatever you believe. May the work I've done speak for me. But if you're standing there reading it, it should also make you think, wow, is that judgment? And am I doing what I am supposed to be doing? When I speak at services, that's what I speak about. The passing of one should allow everyone in that room an opportunity to think about life, their life. And are they doing their best to live their life right now in the skin they are in? In the skin they are in. Which goes back to your purpose, your passion, your spirituality, how connected you are, because you really want to be connected now to the Creator so you can hear your direction, so you can get your messages, so you can live a fulfilled life. You want to be connected now. That's that spirituality. That's that pause that one should take periodically. Don't pause too much. If the light turns green, you have to go and drop. But you want to take deliberate time to assess you.
Sure.
Not from someone else's eye, but from yours. Daydreaming was something that we did as children, and I'm hoping others do it now. I do it all the time. Not only do I daydream, but in my daydream and the thoughts and the ideas that I get, I literally play out the whole scenario in my mind. in my mind, to the point where I see people's expressions at the end of the event. If it's an event that I'm planning, I plan the whole thing out, which could go to why I was able to author a book on mental health. It's titled "Suicide is a Serious Killer. Let's End It Today." It's a statement and an invitation to understanding that mind is to mental as teeth are to dental, and we all have a mind. Pleases me, and it brings me a sense of gratitude that in the end, what it does, how it thinks, how I move to the thought, reveals when I hear other people speaking, like the gentleman today, John Paul Gonzalez. He was speaking my language. And he was speaking my language in the way that I received it in my mind and processed it and shared it with others. We are uniquely designed, but not necessarily uniquely open to receive messages. Our Creator sends messages on a regular basis. This is why people have faith, so that answers can be revealed. But you have people who want to be particular about how the revelation comes. Sometimes we have to step out of our own way and let the greater Creator bring us our answers. And they will come through people. I'm here to tell you your answers are going to come through people. That's how your prayers are answered. Your faith gets proven. Your hope becomes reality through people. The messengers from the Creator. But you have to be open. You have to be open to receive it, to hear it, to understand it. And that goes back to spirituality.
It's a connection. Anything you heard, but it's not going to be about relationships, particularly. Any comments? We take our time, because we have it, to assess our actions and the things that we do. Hopefully, periodically, you review, why did I do what I did? Or how can I do this better? Or what do I want to achieve? That review session is you speaking to you, but it's actually speaking to a bigger you. It's actually speaking to a bigger you. Let's continue.
It's a powerful movement. I don't want to say supernatural because it's natural. It's natural. That supernatural for me is like when they call homeopathic practices alternative medicine. I don't agree. That is not alternative medicine. That is the first medicine. That is the first healing process, long before laboratories were created. So when I hear supernatural, again, man and their branding, it that is the unknown. So some people tend to reject the idea of those things because it has been branded as supernatural. And if you want to own it, we're all supernatural. But no, it's natural. It is a natural order that our Creator will provide us with the things that we need, that we ask for, that we pray for, that we chant for, that we hope for, and that we have faith for. So it's not supernatural. Don't be afraid. And if this conversation about spirituality brings you a sense of fear or apprehension, shake it off. Shake it off. Because we're bigger than the flesh that we see in the mirror. We're bigger than that, greater than the flesh that we see in the mirror. We are spiritual beings. We are electrical beings. Spirit, electricity, in love, that action and motion with the emotion. We're bigger than just the skin that we see in the mirror. Electricity, what is she talking about? Here's an example. You're getting dressed, you're putting on a garment, and you get shocked. And the garment isn't plugged in to the wall, and neither are you, just for the record, right? That's our electricity. If you have hair and you brush your hair, you could literally hold the brush above your head and you'll see your hair lift to attract to the brush, but really to the electricity because the brush has already run through the electricity. Like the circuit, you know? I'm not making this up. I don't even look forward to making things up. I don't. I was going to say I look forward to, but I don't. And I probably don't have to say to you, try it, since this is grown folk talking, because you've seen it happen. You've seen it happen doing the laundry. You get shocks from the clothes, and you feel it. It's not the clothing talking to the clothing. You feel it. But again, even in your home, while putting on a garment, you'll get a shock. We are electrical beings. No need to fear.
How
be
about
proud
the big shock?
And be clear. Okay, I thought I'd say that. But really, be proud and be clear that we are powerful, powerful beings.
I'm sorry, Glenn, did you say something?
Yeah, I was saying, how about the big shock? You're having a heart attack and they hook you up and you get the big shock. That's all electricity going in you.
That's right. So that kind of supports what I say, that we are electrical beings, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, and
That's
we
right.
have purpose. We all have purpose, but we're not taught that early in life. Some of us are not ever taught that. So instead of being the initiator of our actions, we tend to be the followers of other people's directions because we're not taught about our power, about the force within us. That sounds like a show from the 70s, right? The Force Within. What was that, Darth Vader or something like that, which I haven't really focused and watched, but there's a lot of media that's giving us a lot of information, whether it's in a cartoon or in music or in a movie. We're receiving a lot of information from the Creator on how we should be moving right along for the greater good. But some people don't see that as messages from the Creator, as answers to the questions. I really do, once again, suggest strongly listening to Conversations with God on YouTube. Again, it's 8 hours. I can't vouch for the movie because it's a much shorter version, and I didn't see it. But the book, and you don't, of course, have to watch it all the way through. You can stop and start how you like, but it is very, very revealing and analyzing of who we are, and why things possibly are happening the way they are. Anyone have any comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, hello.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm great. I hope you're doing the same, and I hope everybody's doing well.
I
am.
Yes.
Great. Just to kind of add to the conversation here, I like this topic. I do like it. It's thought-provoking for me. It inspirational too. I think of things when I hear these conversations. I wanted to just make a comment about the spiritual and the energy, because that's what I've heard a lot of when I came in to the call. So I don't know if everyone's aware, but the planet that we're on has a frequency. It resonates at a certain frequency. That frequency has been measured. And that frequency actually supports everything on the planet itself, all life and everything. I believe it's called the Schumann resonance. They kind of discovered this some years ago and named it after the guy who pretty much measured it, whatever. But what I was thinking with regard to spirit and even with energy is that everything resonates at a frequency. So it's not so to me, it's not so far out that I can't really get the concept of it and see it in a practical way. I think, and this is just my thought, and I could be wrong, I could be mistaken, or someone else can have another opinion, but I think with the spirit and the energy, it all comes down to how we resonate. What we resonate at. Is it a higher frequency? Is it a lower frequency? And depending on where we are, I think that depends on what we're able to accomplish, or what we feel like even doing sometimes. And also how we connect, or how we can deal with others, and not just other people, but other forms of life as well. And that's pretty much just a little bit of what I wanted to add to this conversation. Like I said, I appreciate the topic. And that's just my 2 cents for this time. But thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's very interesting. Again, so there's so much conversation going on from so many different angles, from people that we are a little familiar with in the media that I like to recommend that you go and listen to. So Terrence Howard, many of us may know him as an actor, but he's actually highly intelligent in the area of mathematics and physics. If you search him on the internet, you, I hope, will be pleasantly surprised at what you hear. And so that's why I say it comes from different directions. And that's why I also say that it's bigger than us. And that as long as we're paying attention, we are receiving our answers. We are receiving the answers to the questions that we ask. We're receiving the answers to our desires. We shouldn't block them, B-L-O-C-K. We shouldn't block the answers. We should not prejudge who's bringing the answer. And the reason I say humans are bringing you your answers is because, again, it can come from a child saying something to you and you'll say, oh my God, you know what? Wow, what? You know, or an adult or something in the mail that will be bringing you not a check, but a response to something you were thinking about. I was halfway minding my business the other day, and we were in conversation at a barbershop, and this gentleman came in. The barbershop was actually closed, but the barber spoke to the gentleman and let him come in. He just needed a quick lineup. And we talked about a lot of different things. And then it was time for everybody to go. And then he mentioned he was a software engineer at one of the major outlets. I was about to say it, right? And I was like, oh, great. Because what I wanted to know was, how is it that I could be thin?
I can't hear you. Hello? Are you there? Right now, I don't hear anyone.
I don't know what happened to the sound. Evadyne, if you can hear us, we can't hear you.
I can hear you, but I don't hear Evadyne.
We can hear each other. Maybe it's a weak signal area for her.
I'm sorry, it was just there, right? You can hear me now?
Now we can, yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So I told him about this experience where the young lady, she worked at TSA, and they don't have the phones on the floor at all. And someone got flagged for perfume. Beautiful bottle, the way it was designed and everything. And when she got in her car and turned on her phone, guess what was showing up on her phone? Yeah, the bottle of perfume, and talking about the perfume. Mind you, it wasn't on her. She never picked up a device or anything, you know.
So it's very interesting, technology, and we are a part of technology. Some of us are fighting against the higher frequencies that they're utilizing from the 4G to the 5G, and they're probably on 7G in other countries. We're not going to stop them from using these things. We just have to find the best way to protect ourselves so we're not over-energized, but also find the best way to use them to your benefit, winning if you can. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. I know earlier in the presentation I mentioned John Paul Gonzalez. It wasn't the Jets that he was called in on, it was the Giants, and his motivation led them to the Super Bowl. And he coined the phrase, all in. But one of the most interesting things about him is that he's present. When his mom was pregnant, they told her of the defect that the fetus had. And if she went full term, the baby would never survive. The fetus would not survive. She would probably stillbirth, if not miscarry, before that. But she listened to those who are bigger than us, the angels, the guides, the Creator, and of course, obviously, she went full term, and she gave birth to a healthy baby boy. When I heard that story from him, it reminded me a little of Henrietta Lacks and a lot of what we hear about stem cell and other, other scientific procedures that are going on. What did you really know about that fetus that you felt like you needed the fetus out of the body of the woman? What did you know? Because he was born healthy, no deformities, and he went on to continues to be very great. I'm not sure if you heard it earlier, but he started a program, I believe, in Irvington, New Jersey. Started with maybe 4 or 5 children, and now he has over 3,000, and some of the children are now being guided and coached by the children who are now young adults, who started when he first started. So what did they know about that fetus that they wanted that fetus out of that lady's body? We have to be mindful of who is guiding us into what they want as a result, who's leading us. Spiritually, you. I hope this talk was helpful. Again, strongly recommend Conversations with God. And it's so funny because the recording I played was my first podcast here on Grown Folk Talking back in January of 2023. I triple booked myself that day. Needed to go to an event. That's where I heard John Paul Gonzalez speak for one of the insurance companies I'm involved with. Also booked my first podcast for Thursday from 12:30 to 2. That's what you were listening to. And I had a meeting that I scheduled. Triple booked myself. So what did I do? I went to the event in the morning. My podcast at 12:30 was perfect because lunch broke at 12. We didn't have to go back until 2. Went to my car, aired my podcast from the car, and I paid attention. The only thing I moved was to a later time that day was that other meeting. But it all worked out very well. What just surprised me, though, is when I mentioned my book, Suicide is a Serious Killer, Let's End It Today. And I spoke about the importance of that book because mind is to mental as teeth are to dental, and we all have a mind. Well, many of you may know that is the title of the second book. Now, I struggled with a title for the second book because I needed it to be something that people would welcome, that they would be invited to, that would not scare them, because the word suicide scares some people. But when you understand who you are and why you are and how things are operating in your body, the word suicide wouldn't scare you. Your lack of knowledge about suicide should be what scares you. But mind is to mental as teeth are to dental was the title I came up with about 8 months after January. So I would say probably in August or September. And I'm thinking it was like an aha moment. But no, it had already been given birth. It had already existed as I just heard it from January 2023. It's all about paying attention. All about paying attention. Following this show tonight, please come back if you would like to just experience Dr. James virtually through the recordings that will be played, through hearing people speak about him. And hopefully through the process, you'll realize that it is a beautiful opportunity to reflect on oneself, and how and what will people say about you. So to that will be at 7 p.m. You can come in a little early, same bat channel, same bat station. And also here on the Grown Folk Talking Network, every morning at 7 a.m. there's a prayer line. On Tuesdays at 6 p.m. you have Grace Space with Karen, Jada, and Deborah. And at 7:30 p.m. you have the Pink Sofa Talk with Carol Lucille. First and third Tuesdays are ladies only. And again, 7 a.m. every morning, 7 days a week, the prayer line. Just call in to the 520-525-8633 and listen to the entire show live. And Marcus, I'll give you an opportunity to speak about Let's Talk and your third Friday as host of Can We Talk? Can We Talk? Go ahead.
Hi, Evadyne.
Hi, who is this?
Francesca. How you doing? Listening to you.
Hi, Issa. Welcome. How are you?
Oh, I'm there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
But I'm there.
Very good, very good. We're going to have Marcus. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Would you like? Yes, thank you. Please announce your show and Adrian's. Thank you.
Okay, every Friday, 6 p.m. Is Can We Talk with Adrian. It's hosted by Adrian. On the third Friday of every month, I co-host with Adrian from 6 p.m. to about 7:30 p.m. I discuss shifting your paradigm or paradigm shifts. As right now it relates to communities, neighborhoods, block associations, and where our knowledge base can take us so that we can accomplish greater things and have better outcomes without having to wonder how we're going to get to that point. There's a lot of information regarding working together, networking, co-opting, and taking such examples as Greenwich Village, Co-op City, Starrett City, and using those examples as a model, as a memo that somebody got and somebody put into action, and seeing the success that they've had over these years and realizing that we can duplicate the same thing. And more to come in future shows, but that's where we are now. And we talk about everything from A to Z with respect to our communities and flourishing and prospering. So tune in. That's every Friday, 6 p.m. Can We Talk with Adrian? And on the third Friday, 6 p.m. to 7:30, with me, Marcus, I co-host with Adrian. And come on into the boardroom. Have a seat at the table, and let's map out the strategies and let's plan out some actions. Thank you, Evadyne. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. If there's anyone else on who would like to announce their show, you may do so.
Thank you, Evadyne. Well, I'm Francisca Nunez, and my podcast is called No Longer Silent. I'm every Wednesday from 6 to 8. All are welcome. And I just want to say, Evadyne, I just love you so much.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Francesca. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And, just prayers up to everyone for everything that's going on in their lives with their families. Stay strong. Keep support around you and keep being supportive. And, Francesca, you're doing such wonderful, wonderful things. And today's subject was on spiritually viewed. And understanding who you are and what that means, not spirituality, not spiritualism. Well, spirituality, yes, because that's you, but not spirit, not spiritualism. So, Francesca, tell us how, if you don't mind, how life and understanding you and walking in your path has helped you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I meditate a lot, and, my faith with God is awesome. If anybody was to meet me, they would actually say this young lady, well, not too young, but I don't look like what I went through. And I have a tendency that every single year something always happens, but I always look at it for a reason. Anything I went through, I wouldn't want anybody to go through, absolutely, because my story, my journey, I'm going to say now, it's not my story no more, it's my journey, is to help and educate men, women, and teenagers of domestic violence. And we're living on borrowed time. I have lost quite a few family members and friends this year. And believe it or not, through each death, I've learned to be very grateful to be here, to be absolutely here. Because 2014, my ex-husband, in front of my 16-year-old daughter, almost had the opportunity of stabbing me to death. And I'm a firm believer that God did not want that for me, and he removed that individual from my life. So when I hopped on your podcast today and I heard you talk about spirituality, I jumped in when you was talking about, I think, a fetus. I jumped in and I heard that. But spirituality is very, very important. In my life is very, very important, because when you go through all this trauma and you go through all this stuff and you're questioning your head, like one day you're good, one day you're not so good. And in my podcast, I learned that I always emphasize to check on people, because when someone tells you they're okay, they're not okay. And I'm very transparent and open when something happens, though I grieve and I get sad, but at the same time, when I see what the person went through, I say, you know what, I can't be selfish. I don't want that person going through suffering or any pain. And I know I no longer won't see that person anymore, but I have to realize that, we're here for a purpose, and we don't know when we're going. And now through everyone's death, I've learned that you make of life what you want it to be about. So I decided every single day just to embrace my life, embrace everybody in my surroundings, get closer to God every single day as much as possible, and just learn through every situation. I thank God I'm here. I have no regrets from what I went through, because sometimes God chooses, and I always say that his best warriors to overcome a certain situation for you to be able to help someone else. Unfortunately, in my field, sometimes you have people that are no longer here, and I have to not only advocate and be the mentors for the ones that are here, but also speak for the ones that are not here. So that is my journey for domestic violence. Sometimes it can be sad, and sometimes it could be, happy moments. But I enjoyed your podcast today because it does take a lot of spirituality. It does take a lot tapping into yourself to learn to accept things how they are, because we can't change anything. I am very grateful that tonight they're doing, a memorial for Dr. James, because he, too, had an impact in my life. I think about him all the time. And my happy thoughts are when he hopped on my podcast, like in anybody's podcast, he was always, though I didn't physically see him, but his presence through the phone call, he was always smiling, and he was always happy and just a transparent person, so loving. And I would love to have met him in person, because the videos were absolutely awesome of him. So that's my happy thoughts about Dr. James. And anybody that has passed in my life, I have special memories. So my calling is a little tough, but, I'm here for it to help anyone, and I'm just basically grateful. But we all have to tap into, our spirituality. We have to tap into that and try to reach to someone close when you're not okay. Have that one person to say, listen, I'm falling apart. I need you to get me together with your guidance, your words, because we can't walk around and say we're okay when we're not. And sometimes people do not talk. They keep stuff bottled up inside, and that's not good. So that's my intake.
And that was great. I thank you. Thank you for being who you are and doing all that you do for everyone flawlessly. And for that, you are rewarded as well. You have reached so many heights beyond the trauma. And what they say, it'll make you stronger if it doesn't take you, right? And you have become stronger and stronger and stronger. And not just you. You are the tree trunk. From you, so many branches have become stronger and richer and wealthier spiritually, maybe even financially, I don't know. But you just give it right from the heart. You give it to those who are willing to receive it, and to those who are not willing to receive it, you give it, and I'm sure eventually they see the results of it. I'm sure they do.
Amen.
And it's nice when we can do things without looking for accolades, without looking for praise. We do it naturally. So, again, flawlessly. And you look flawless, girl. I'll be seeing all of your photos on Facebook. You are just turning that little Facebook. Facebook is becoming a Francesca book.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you. I
great.
just like to throw affirmations and reflections and stuff that people are accustomed to. So, and that's what I do, the good and the bad, and the real and the ugly sometimes, because relationships could go to the left, or to the right.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you so much, Francesca. I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. We're going to go get ready for the Dr. James celebration. He got Evadyne, wait. So, I'm not going to wait any longer. We're going to move over so that he can come on and shine. And I heard something the other day. They said that when a person passes, that their spirit could remain up to 60 days. It could remain up to 60 days. I mean, some people believe forever as well, and we see the actions. We see the actions of people. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know? And I'm not going to believe that it's necessarily in the form of who they were and who you are, because I guess we wouldn't, you know, get dressed the way we do and do other things the way we do if we really thought people were looking at us the way they were in the spirit form. But I believe it's in a way of assessing their lives. And I said that one day, that it would be so interesting if when we pass, that we attend our own service, listen to what people say, and we judge that person, not realizing that the person is us. So we're like in a different form. And when I heard at my nephew's service that he was actually present, he was there in spirit, someone saw him, I just smiled because, again, my antennas are up so high, I felt like that was my answer to my what if. That, yeah, present and accounted for. So I have no fear of any of those things. We're going to do the things that we're going to do and say the things that we're going to say. You are on Grown Folk Talk and Express Yourself, Progressive Podcast Network. I am Evadyne, and this is Evadyne with Company, talk worth listening to. Please go to YouTube. You'll see the Grown Folk Talk and Hot Mic, Grown Folk Talk and Express Yourself. Please go to my YouTube. Now look how creative I am. My YouTube is likessr.com. Likessr.com. And that stands for like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. I thought that was so interesting. So if you go to likessr.com, it will take you right to my YouTube. Also go to my website, networkingforsuccess.info. Go to the promo section, get the ebooks, host a Food for Thought, Food for Body, Meet the Author event. Host that in your area. You can host it virtually. And that will be Food for Thought, which is, you know, all the information that we share back and forth with each other. Food for Body, if it's held at a food venue, or if it's held at a venue and we have it catered in, and Meet the Author. That is the promotion that's going on now. I'll be around the country with Food for Thought, Food for Body, Meet the Author, or you can do it virtually. So then we're around the universe. Because remember, the astronauts are watching too. Have a great every day. I really appreciate everyone's input, export, and important information that was shared. Take care.